please.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Chairwoman Crystal Clark,
Present.
Vice Chair Julie Highsmith,
Here.
Stephen Brown,
Present.
Pamela Shetka,
Here.
Dr. Bill Tollimer,
Present.
Lisa Ryan, Jonathan Legister,
Present.
and Councilman Jeff Amara.
Here.
All right, we have a little bit different order tonight. We're gonna start with our district and county officials tonight and let them present first. So we have Ms. Valerie Salaga Haynes from Central Regional Office.
Thank you. I came right on time, didn't I? How are you this evening?
Great.
Happy birthday.
Get us started. I really appreciate you guys having us back this month to present. I guess I can do it. Okay. Put your mic on, please. Okay, can you hear me now? Oh, it needs to be on. Oh,
There
hi
we
there.
go.
How are you? Now we're on.
Notice the difference?
Oh, yes. Notable difference. Could be. Thank you so much for allowing our Central Region office to present again tonight. I do want to share that initially Dr. Fennoy was going to be here this evening. Unfortunately, he was unable to make it. Very last minute. As you know, with the coronavirus things, the virus is going on, as we all know about that. We're getting ongoing updates, and so he's getting called in constantly to stay in close communication with the CDC and the EOC department also. So with that said, he was unable to make it very, very last minute. But I am here this evening. He does send you his regards and his appreciation for your commitment to our schools in the village of Royal Palm Beach. So no introduction needed on my part since I'm here every month, sharing some of the great things happening here at the village of Royal Palm, but this time it's going to be a little bit different. This time I'm going to be sharing a little bit about our where we are with our district-wide focus on the long-term outcomes for 2 and 4. We also call them LTOs. You know, as educators, we like the shortened version of a lot of things. So we call them LTOs 2 and 4. I'm going to be talking a little bit about the next strategic plan, the penny sales tax projects, and also security enhancement projects that are upcoming for the village of Royal Palm schools. I also want to thank for being here as part of our team, Karen Wetzel, Central Region Instructional Superintendent for Secondary Schools, Vivian Green, who is our Central Region Instructional Superintendent for Elementary Schools in the village of Royal Palm, Ms. Marcia Andrews, School Board Member, and also Theomaine Dorleans. She is our instructional team leader from Central Region, and they're administrators from our Royal Palm Beach schools. Moving right along. Oh, something is, the clicker's not working. The mouse is not being very friendly tonight. All right, so I want to start off this evening by sharing an update on the current strategic plan. As Dr. Fennoy has stated many times, the district's 5-year strategic plan continues to serve as our North Star. This is the roadmap for all employees to ensure that we're providing academic excellence, access, and equity for all students, a supportive school climate, talent development, and also a high-performance culture. So the 4 long-term outcomes, if you can see the little mouse over here, they're listed right over here. That's number 1, 2, 3, and 4. The first one is increasing reading on grade level by 3rd grade. The second LTO is ensuring high school readiness. The third LTO is to increase the high school graduation rate. And the 4th LTO is fostering postgraduate success. Tonight, yeah, the mouse really is not working. Okay. So tonight we're going to be focused really around LTO 2 and 4, which is, you see it boxed in red. So the current plan sunsets in 2021, as you can see up on the top. But it is, and before we do that, it is important to note that we're currently exceeding our goal for high school graduation rate. And 3rd grading, of course, we've talked about this in prior months, it still continues to be a high priority for our district and having our students read on or above grade level by the time that they reach 3rd grade. However, we want to make sure that we pay attention to the other 2 LTOs and as we move into the final year of the current strategic plan. So this past November, Dr. Fennoy reaffirmed his commitment to improve access and equity for all students. This has direct ties to long-term outcomes 2 and 4. And Mrs. Wetzel, in a few minutes, will be sharing a quick update on our district-wide focus to improve in this area before we move on to updates related to the penny sales tax, as well as the school safety and security. I do want to share with you that not only are you receiving tonight the district-wide data points around LTO 2 and 4, but also as it pertains to Royal Palm Beach High School as well as Crestwood Middle School. So it's specific to your two secondary schools in the village of Royal Palm. So, Mrs. Wetzel?
Okay. Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good. Everybody's awake. That
Yep.
was good. So the first step in our process was to really dive into the data and have an honest conversation about progress, which Dr. Fennoy did in a meeting with principals this past November. So I'm going to share some of the data with you tonight to give you a better understanding of where we're going and what we've been doing in schools to address the equity and access issue. And like Valerie said, you actually have data that pertains to your schools. So in looking at the high-level data for long-term outcome 4 related to fostering postgraduate success, we saw that as a district we were not meeting our projected target. So we decided to go one step further and take a look at our data around advanced coursework such as AP and ACE and IB. Now, our acceleration data shows that all student groups, Black, Hispanic, and white, are passing AP and ACE tests at a higher rate now as compared to 2000. However, you'll notice that there are still achievement gaps between student groups, despite the increased achievement. So that leads us always to the next question. Are we providing all access, or all students equal access to these opportunities? So again, we go back to the data to compare student enrollment in college prep courses from FY16 to FY20. And as you can see, there are increases for all subgroups compared to 4 years ago. However, we still see those gaps when we separate the data out by race, ethnicity, and gender for FY20. We see the same trend in middle school. There again are there are increases for all subgroups when compared to 4 years ago, but we continue to see the gaps. So when we look at total student enrollment compared to participation in advanced coursework, we can see that Black students are under-enrolled compared to the proportion of total enrollment. 26.5% of total student enrollment versus 16.2% enrolled in advanced coursework at the high school level. The percentages are pretty close for our Hispanic students, but what's more interesting is that white students are over-enrolled in advanced courses when compared to the proportion they make up in terms of total student population. 42.5% participation in advanced courses versus 32.2% of the total student population. Now, if we look at the data for Royal Palm Beach High School, the disparity is not as great. Principal Dr. Armis has made a conscious effort to ensure that the total student enrollment in his school mirrors the participation rate of each student group in advanced coursework, and we hope to see that trend continue. Now, data at the middle school level looks very similar, although not as striking as what we see in high schools. Black students are under-enrolled compared to their proportion of total enrollment, and white students are over-enrolled. Again, you can see the local comparison for Crestwood Middle School. And while there are gaps, you can see that Dr. Nance's school mirrors the district in Black students, but you notice that there's actually a closing the gap in the area of Hispanic students. Now, all principals, particularly at the high school and middle school levels, have received additional support around intentional master board planning. We have standardized the timing of each related activity, which you can see in the graphic, and the district has developed tools principals can use to ask meaningful questions throughout the entire process. This is our first year standardizing the master schedule process, and we look forward to sharing those preliminary results at an upcoming meeting. In the meantime, it's important for students and parents and the community to know that advanced coursework is meant to be challenging. We want to encourage the productive struggle of our students because we know it's a necessary step in helping them become college and career ready.
So I have a question to ask you.
Sure.
Recently, 30-year university background, we've talked to a bunch of people that are recruiting students, and it's not necessarily the upper course load that they're looking at. They're looking at the community involvement. They're looking at some of the club pieces they're doing. It's a more holistic approach to higher education and that access. So where are we looking at that in this data?
So this data isn't, I don't have that for you tonight, but in all schools, especially in the high schools, the principals really do make sure that there are a variety of clubs and opportunities so we can make sure there are well-rounded students, as well as having lots of community activities and community involvement, because in order to get into college, it's extremely competitive. You know, academics is one thing and everything else falls into place for it too. But the purpose of this conversation is that kids will be academically ready when they get to college. Having that, the more challenging coursework really does enable them, once they get to college, to feel like they can actually do that level of work.
Now, is this 4-year institutions or 2 and 4-year institutions?
2 and 4-year institutions. You know, I think primarily we always shoot for the 4-year because that's the hardest place to get in, and if they're ready to get into the 4-year institution, they're certainly ready for the 2-year.
Yeah, because the matriculation rate's really high, especially in this state. So, okay,
Right.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so lastly, the current strategic plan is sunsetting in 2021, as I mentioned earlier. So the next plan won't be finalized until we receive feedback from the community, because we're about to get started with a new one for the next 5 years. So this is really basically an invitation and a request for you to look out for those community opportunities to be able to provide feedback. One of the things that we want to be able to make sure we do is to have that opportunity for the business partners, for families, for students, for parents to be able to provide that for us. We plan to have this community tour scheduled sometime in April or May following board approval. And there will be language support for our parents that are in need of language support. So what I want to do is, before I close out, is to talk about the update on the penny sales tax funded projects at the schools located within the boundaries of Royal Palm Beach. Just to quickly remind you, the penny sales tax was passed in November 2016, and the district expects to collect $1.3 billion over a period of 10 years. We also have a website dedicated to the penny sales tax, which is right here. If you click on it, are you able to access it as well on your end? If you click on it, it'll take you to the portion of the website that allows you to see all of the projects that are happening in our school district. You'll be able to still see like I said, the link on this slide, but also remember the schools with the most needs in terms of renovations are being prioritized. And then there was a need-based assessment that was done back in 2016 that was able to provide the priority level of the most important areas that needed to be renovated to the least important, but still that needed to be done. So the 5 schools within Royal Palm Beach School, about $48.2 million is going to be invested in those schools. And the schools are listed there. So some of the projects that it includes roofing and repairs, replacements, chillers, and HVAC replacements, parking lot paving and striping, also play fields, building envelope waterproofing and paint, and also interior improvements, as well as some plumbing. So this is basically what the renewal scope is.
So Valerie, where does the technology come in?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. So, well, that's a little bit later on. So let me finish the tax projects based on facilities, and then we'll move on to the technology piece. And some of that technology piece is really under security and cameras and whatnot that are provided to the schools. But take a moment to take a look at all the different projects that are available at the Royal Palm schools at this time. So these are the completed projects. Then when you're ready, I'll move on to future projects. Those are some future projects as well. So part of the technology piece is around the security and the enhancement components. And in addition to those renovations, our facilities team also works in the security enhancements to the schools in conjunction with school police. So projects related to the hardening of the schools are in line with the recommendations put forth by the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas Safety Commission, and they also comply with the legislative requirements. Security enhancements include those related to single point of entry, fencing, camera systems, security doors, alarm upgrades, and also radio enhancement. It's also, in talking about the technology pieces, it's also important to note that we're in about the third round of the smart boards to be delivered to the schools. And I'm not sure, is it by the end of this school year? Next school year. Okay, so for Royal Palm Beach High School, some of our elementary schools are completely outfitted with every classroom having a smart board, but it sounds like for Royal Palm Beach, Crestwood has them. So Royal Palm Beach High School is still 1 more year away. The way that the system started with this is that first it went into the Trailblazers, teachers that who were Google certified and passed the appropriate training were also provided a cart with a class set of Chromebooks. And the second half of that was that they were also provided with a smart board so that they could be totally techie in their teaching and learning. And so we started, like we do everything else, a big project, you start with a smaller group where it's a little bit more control and you can figure out the glitches, and then you expand it to district-wide. So the expansion is still happening, it's still going on, and that is also as a result of the tax referendum. So it's still moving along.
So some of the people are working on virtual reality labs, where the Oculus Quest, which is run by Facebook, it's an immersive piece where you can actually get out and do kinesthetic nursing training, physician training, those kind of things, where a lot of them are putting labs into their particular school systems. That technology is 2020 instead of 2015, 2014. So do we have any plans to look at that new technology to kind of begin an innovative lab, or I'm just...
It really has
asking
been
a
on a
crazy
school-by-school basis. For instance, I'll be honest, I used to have one of those labs. And in the school that I was at under STEM programming, right, with the whole virtual piece, which is really exciting, Z-Space. So that's a virtual lab, but it's on a school-by-school basis for now. I do know that we're trying to get really creative as doing virtual teaching and learning, that we've been able already to cross classrooms and in some cases cross schools to get some of the very best teachers in front of some of the kids, especially with our high school credit classes to teach algebra. They've been able to share that expertise from school to school. So we're working on that. Small scale right now, but we're getting bigger. Now, in some particular schools, not any in Royal Palm that I'm aware of, but in some other schools within the Central Region, we have also done some extended learning, meaning cross-country from here, Florida to Ecuador, as well as different countries in Africa, where they've able to communicate in their own languages. For Ecuador, it was the whole purpose of dual language, for the students down in Ecuador to speak in English and our students to be able to speak in Spanish. So we are doing some of that work, but it's not at the point where it's district-wide. We're still in experimental phase.
And Dr. Armas, if you would, just chat with me before we walk out the door. I have a business partnership that you could probably, about this, it may help you, okay?
Oh. So security enhancement projects continues, to move forward. As you know, well, one of the things that I do know is that as far as cameras in the schools, here in Palm Beach County, we have more cameras than some of our smaller cities in the United States, just in our schools. So knowing that security is of utmost importance in our school district of Palm Beach County, and so we continue to enhance that as much as possible and as quick as possible. And so I always, of course, want to remind you of the Triple Crown here at Royal Palm Beach High School. That will always be a reminder every meeting that we that we attend because we're very proud of the work that's happening at Royal Palm Beach High School. And to always continue following us with our district, also our Twitter, Haynes V or KW. We often post right from the classrooms out on Twitter. So keep us in your mind and follow us on Twitter to see the best and the latest out there. Do you have any questions for me or for my team? Yes.
I have one. At H.L. Johnson, they put up like a mesh over the fence for security, and some vandals came by and cut it at the top, so now it's hanging down. How does that get fixed? Because apparently that's not part of the money that was like set aside for that.
Right. So obviously the school will need to submit a work order, but financially it is difficult, right? I can speak to just going through hurricanes and not having that screen. That screen's actually quite expensive, and the replacement piece is expensive. So we'll have to work with the facilities department to see what we can do to replace those screens. I know for safety purposes, to block the students from the outside is
Right,
really
it's where the
important.
kindergarten
Yes, for the
area
playground.
is.
There is a process, though, that we do follow for that, for replacement.
Okay,
But it does
thanks.
take time
Yeah.
and money. Any other questions for me? I'm going to go ahead and get in front of it. Information on the coronavirus and how our district is what we're doing to be proactive about it, to be preventative and proactive. If you go into palmbeachschools.org /coronavirus, there's a full webpage there with many links to really good resources that are reputable, that can assist you in understanding a little bit more about coronavirus and not, some of the stuff that's circulating that may not be true. I also want to share with you that we have already requested to increase the hand washing, which is a preventative measure, as well as we've already asked our schools for their inventory for additional soap and paper towels so that they do have the supplies that they need to have to be able to wash their hands more frequently. Also, our school district, our custodial teams are using the more of an enhanced cleaning schedule and skills than just the regular cleaning of the school. So they are doing that as well for preventative measures. And should there be some sort of flu case or some sort of case that pops up, we already have protocol in place that our environmental services department provides an external source to come out and disinfect the school as needed. So that's already in place. We do that already. Any questions in regards to anything presented to you tonight or anything on your mind that we can help you with? Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, and now Miss Andrews. Of course, Miss Andrews, of course. No, I do that. And that's always a given. Mrs. Andrews, please.
Absolutely. Actually, we've got a Mitchie match scheduled tonight. We're going to get the kids to come forth, and then we're going to have presentation from Western Academy. We have here tonight the executive director, Linda Terranova. And apparently we have some lovely singers.
Yes, I brought with me tonight our show choir, and Mrs. Hubbard is our choral director, music director at the school. We have a full-time music program, and we do have some students that were out sick, but she does have a good group with you here tonight, and she wanted to share with you some of the songs they've been working on for their spring concert. Mrs. Hubbard.
Yes, we're about half down, and again, like she said, there's just some that can't be here, other, activities going on. This is our second year, and they are working on movie theme medleys. So the medley that we're doing tonight is from Bohemian Rhapsody. So we're hoping, and we've got a small group here, so I really need you guys to help sing, because it's not quite going to be as loud as it should be. So we have no idea what you're
Yeah, be careful what you ask for.
songs. we want y'all to clap and sing along, okay, and help us out here. But we're gonna give it the best that we've got. Okay. Sing loud, that's all I can say.
This is my kind of music.
Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. And another one's gone, and another one's gone. Another one bites the dust. And another one's gone, and another one's gone. Another one bites the dust. Hey, I'm gonna get you too. Another one bites the dust. 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 We are the champions, my friends. And we'll keep on fighting till the end. We are the champions. We are the champions. No time for losers, 'cause we are the champions of the world. I see a little silhouette of a man. Scaramouche, Scaramouche, we do the fandango. Thunderbolt and lightning, very, very frightening me. Galileo, 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 figure out where did he go? I'm just a poor boy, nobody loves me. He's just a poor boy from a poor family, sparing his life from this monstrosity. Easy come, easy go, will you let me go? Here's a real back, no, we're gonna let you go. Let me go,
Okay, so being a product of the 70s and 80s, that was right up my alley. I don't know if you heard me singing or not. Come on, let's see. It's not opening. Oh. Somebody want to help me open this? It's open, but it's not coming on the. They go up? Oh, there it goes. No. Yep. Ready to go? There we go. Okay, so thank you for having me back again. My name is Linda Terranova. I'm coming back actually to you with a new title this year. I haven't been here for probably 2 years. I had our principal come last year. Probably one of the most dynamic things that's changed in our school since I saw you last was our change in leadership. As many of you know, I opened the school in 2003, and I was the principal there for over 16 years. And this is my first year actually kind of stepping back a little bit and only working 3 days on site and working from home more. And I turned over my principal seat to Jessica Manriquez, who is now the principal, and I brought Siri Miller, who is our new assistant principal. While it is a change in leadership, it's nobody new to our school. Mrs. Manriquez worked at our school as a teacher from the second year we opened, 2004, and she was my assistant principal for 5 years. So she really knew how I ran the school, what I did dealing with teachers, and she really has worked hard and is doing a great job in that principal position. She wasn't able to come tonight for some personal reasons and things happening with her children, but she asked me to step in, so I was glad to jump in tonight, so thank you. Mrs. Miller has also been at our school for many, many years in a teacher capacity and worked her way up through administration at the school as well. And she handles a lot of the student issues, discipline, all of our mental health, those type things. But it is nice to actually be here in a different capacity and kind of give you the information and updates over the last year. As you know, we are one of only two charter schools, well, two charter schools in Royal Palm. And we are a Western Communities Charter. Our charter was written specifically for Wellington and Royal Palm Beach and Loxahatchee areas. Our enrollment is up a little bit this year. We're up to 520 students, and we see that grow in smaller increments. We've pretty much reached our, about maxed out where we will be for our class size and the number of classrooms that we have currently. So unless we do a sixth expansion, which we don't really see that in our future, in the near future anyway, we'll probably stay anywhere from 515 to 530 students as far as annual enrollment. I've got some demographics there. Those we've seen a change in those, usually 2 to 3% going up or down, but we are seeing a lot larger Hispanic population at our school that continues to grow, especially through word of mouth with parents. We are not a Title I school. We only have 40% on the free and reduced lunch. And we do have 11% in our ESE population. We are a full inclusion school. We have support facilitation teachers that work with our ESE population. We are not an ESE site. This is our mission. This mission has been since day one, and when I created the school, I wanted to create something that addressed the whole child. The program that we use in our elementary level, which I'll speak to in a few minutes, was my background over at Wellington Elementary with that program. I really saw what it meant to address the whole child and not just the academic piece. We are still an A-rated school. We have been since 2006, which with the ever-changing standards and the ever-changing tests, it becomes harder and harder to maintain that A every year. We are also a 5-star school. Up until, I think, 2 years ago, we were the only charter school in Palm Beach County to ever be a 5-star. I think there's 2 of us now, 2 charters in Palm Beach County that are 5-star. We've had the Florida Department of Excellence, School of Excellence Award given to us for 3 years now. That's me receiving the 5-star award. We are a high-performing charter school, and we're very proud of that designation. Obviously, that comes straight from our state test scores, as does the Florida School of Excellence, which I'll speak to in a minute. We are a model school for Project Child, which is our K-5 program. It's very hands-on, multi-sensory approach to learning. Teachers work in a triangulated model where they're working with 2 other teachers in a team, and they specialize in a subject and teach that subject to 3 grade levels. So students will come in, as an example, in kindergarten, and they'll have 3 teachers for K1 and 2, and then they'll roll into our intermediate cluster and have the same teachers for 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. And the teachers will specialize, say, for reading. For example, they'll teach kindergarten, 1st grade, and 2nd grade reading, and then same thing at the intermediate level. There'll be 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade teacher for reading. So they get to really specialize in the content that they're teaching. They get to really understand what differentiation looks like. They also know where the students came from. They know their families, the dynamics. They know the children that they've had to do interventions with. They're very versed on the students because they do hold them in their classes for multiple years. It also builds a very strong unit amongst the class itself because the students stay together for 3 years in a row. So we are a model demonstration site for that company, and they will send people from across the United States to come and look at our school, and they tour the school, they go in the classrooms, they talk to the teachers, they talk to the students, they talk to parents and other stakeholders, and they look to see if they want to do this program within their school, either in the state of Florida or in other states across the United States. As I said, we are a school of excellence, and this is our 3rd year receiving that designation. That became a Florida setting, a Florida designation to be the top 20% in the state. Our school, however, is in the top 15% in the state, and we're in the top 5% for our math scores. We are also a Green School of Excellence. That's something that we're very proud of. We have a lot of initiatives at our school to receive that excellence designation, and we'll go over some of those you'll be able to see. I've presented a copy of our FSA scores for you to take a look at, and I have them here for us to look on the slides as well. We worked really hard this last year in our ELA. Our math scores have always been very, very high, and we worked really hard in our ELA scores, and our lowest 25% scores really came up for us this year. So our reading scores went up even higher than they normally had been historically. So we're very proud of that fact. As you can see, our comparison for our school compared to Palm Beach County and the state of Florida, our scores are significantly higher for each grade level. In focusing on ELA, we did notice that our 5th grade math scores actually dropped for us this year, which is something that we really need to be mindful of. So it's constantly like spinning plates, like you focus in one area, but you have to make sure that the plate in the other area doesn't start to falter. So we really have taken the information this year, not only from the FSA scores last year, but also from the diagnostic scores that we received this year, and looking at those 5th grade students and where they are and breaking those math scores down and meeting with the teachers and discussing where are their weaknesses, where do we need to work on for our students this year compared to what our students did last year. And then we also had the 6th grade math teachers looking at those students who rolled up from 5th grade last year and saying, okay, where do we really need to fill those gaps? Where did they fall behind or slip so that we can hold up that 95% 6th grade math score? If we have a 65% rolling up, we want to make sure that our 6th grade scores now don't drop down. So we've spent a lot of time working with the teachers and trying to make sure that doesn't roll up and cause a problem with us going forward. You can see with the math scores, they have been very high and continue to be very high. One of our teachers, a 7th grade math teacher, just astounded me with her scores last year. She taught 4 classes, and 2 lower level and 2 advanced level, and 100% of her students passed that test with a level 3 or higher. So we were very, very pleased with that. It's very hard to do. It's not an easy feat for a teacher. It's not an easy feat to have 100% of students anywhere pass anything. So it shows the hard work that took place there. The science scores they're presented as well as our civics EOC scores. Again, those are very high. Our civics EOC scores are usually anywhere from 97 to 99%. This year we do have a new civics teacher, so that's something we've been very mindful of because that one cell is worth 100 points for us, and we only have 4 7th grade classes. So it's really important that this new teacher really understands, where we are, what we're teaching, and what he needs to do to make sure that those scores stay strong and we can continue to capture those points through that one cell. Project Child, this is our K-5 program that I mentioned before, and it is a triangulated instructional model, meaning it goes by threes, 3 teachers, 3 subjects, 3 grade levels. They do 3 90-minute blocks, which is very strong for us, and I do believe that that is one of the core elements in the success of our school, is having that 90-minute math block each and every single day for those students. Our students are strong math students coming from the primary grades into our intermediate. We're not having to make them strong later when they're taking the test. They're strong going into those testing grade levels because they are getting a longer math block starting at 5 years old. They also do stations within the classroom, and it's a very student-centered type program. They do have what's called passports, and they log the stations that they go to. They log the goals. They have to do self-assessments. They have to do a reflection piece to reflect on what they learned and how they could use it. It's not just it was fun type of a reflection. It is a, what did I learn? How can I use it? How has it affected my learning? So it is very hands-on. The teachers love it because they're not textbook, paper, pencil type teachers. They're doing fun activities with the students. They're doing a lot of hands-on, and they really get to get in there and have fun teaching. They're not micromanaged. They're not told you're doing this lesson on this day and this is the page number. It's not like that at all. They're actually given a lot of freedom and flexibility in those classrooms to make learning fun for the students and to make teaching fun for them. Our STEAM Academy is a program that we added in 2013 for our middle school. Before that, we only had 2 of every grade level, K through 8, and in 2013, we added our STEAM Academy and doubled our middle school enrollment. We now have 4 classes for 6th, 4 for 7th, and 4 for 8th. 2 of those are our regular level interdisciplinary middle school program, and 2 of those are all advanced level courses. So those students do have to meet eligibility criteria to get in because every class they take is advanced level. They also get to pick a track that they want to participate in, either a IT track or an engineering robotics track. And their electives, their specials classes, are geared towards those tracks.
Were you able to, I know you were thinking about a drone program at one point, were you able to?
Yeah, that was tricky. We're still, actually, it's still on the burners. It's still there, but it's there's regulations with the drones, and they're getting actually stricter. So that's something that we're trying to figure out. How can we use maybe the mini drones within the school? So we're still working on that because I do believe that that is that's something that's really of interest to the students, but it's also something that is really important in our society. They're being used for a lot of things.
Yep.
And for kids to learn those at a very young age will be very beneficial for them. So we're still working on that. We haven't given up. We do a lot of activities and hands-on labs in our STEAM Academy. They do field trips where people come in, guest speakers come in, professionals come in to the classrooms for them, but they also go off-site and do a lot of labs, and they go out into the community. Actually, I think I have some Peace River trips in here that you'll be able to see that they just got back from. I'll show you those pictures soon. The technology track is all computer applications, and they go through 3 levels of that. It's all the Microsoft Office suites. We actually start teaching those at a very young, in the primary grades they're learning those. They're doing PowerPoint, basic PowerPoint slides by 2nd grade, and they will learn all of those in our regular computer classes, but the STEAM Academy, they're a lot more advanced. And they do a lot of the gaming and coding. They do virtual animation. They really create their own video games, and then they test them within the classroom, and then they send them out into the World Wide Web, and other students and other schools can test them, and they get feedback. And then they can go back and they can adjust those games and videos that they created and make them better. We also have 5 3D printers, 3 of them in our STEAM lab, our computer lab, and then 2 of them in our engineering class. And this year we started an engineering club after school because the students were really, really involved in the 3D piece of it. The engineering class is actually basically, I think one of the favorites of the kids because they're actually doing everything hands-on. They're creating builds from the curriculum set. It'll give them different builds. Some of them they're done individually, some of them they do in groups. And they actually take the connected pieces and they create the build, and then they have to test it, and then if it didn't work, they have to go back and figure out where did it break down. And then they use their builds, and they actually go out and they test them in the hallways, and they look to say, okay, if they're making a ramp, they'll measure how far the item went, and then they have to figure out, okay, how can I make it go farther or higher? If they're racing things across the floor that they built, then they're trying to figure out, okay, if the wheels are smaller or wider, you know, how will those dynamics of their build change what happens within the experiment? You saw our show choir here tonight. We just added that last year, but we do have a chorus that's 3rd grade through 8th grade as well. And they do performances here in the village. They participate in performances here. We also go out to assisted living facilities. They also sing out at the Veterans Hospital twice a year up in their atrium. We also have a full-time art teacher that works with our teachers in integrating content into the art projects, and all of, well, I won't say all, but vast majority of her projects are all green projects where she's using recycled materials and items that parents have brought in. We'll say, okay, we're building this, or she's creating this for art. Can you send in these items? They've been doing over the last 2 years murals in our school that they're making from plastic bottle caps. And we have a big American flag that they created. We have one that's a globe with different colored hands coming in onto the globe. So they're making green art projects that we're hanging up throughout the school, which really beautify the school hallways. The STEAM mathematics is something that we're really happy that we developed it the way we did. We are able to give our middle school students high school credits. They can get credits in Algebra 1 honors and also in geometry honors. We also have many of our 8th grade STEAM students that take Algebra 2 through Florida Virtual School, because many of them are applying to get into the Suncoast Math Magnet. And every year we do get students into that magnet, so we're very happy that that's happening for them, as that's a very coveted program in our school district. So they are able to get 2 of the high school credits on site at our school, and then the 3rd through the Florida Virtual School. And that math programs that we have, they really focus on the application. It's not just learning the steps of how to solve problems, but how that is affected in the real world. What can you do with the math? Those type things. Our literacy and the reading language arts program, the students participate in activities throughout the year. We do a literacy week every year, where we come up with different concepts for the day, and you can see them, like Monday, October 1st was Wear a Word Day, and they would pick a vocabulary word, and they would have to do things with that word throughout the day. Another day was Quote on a Note, and they had to get a quote, put it on a Post-it note, and carry it in their pocket, and anybody going down the hall could stop them and ask them what their quote was, and they had to be able to explain where the quote came from, who said the quote, those type of things. And there's a different activity that goes on every day. We also participate in a literacy night over at the Barnes & Nobles in Wellington, and we do have our chorus there. We have grades K through 8 there. They do poetry readings. The chorus sings in the music department at Barnes & Nobles. They actually have a drink in the concession stand. They have a Starbucks in the Barnes & Nobles. If you've been in there, you know what I'm talking about. And they actually made a wax frappuccino, which was a big hit over there. We also have mystery readers that come in, and we have parents that come in. We have professionals out in the community. We've actually had a couple of our political, legislative people come in and read to our students, so that's pretty cool. They enjoy that. And then we do a book fair, a week-long fair that the students participate in, where they can go in and buy books. And family fun night, we have a lot of activities. Our parent-teacher committee helps us, and they do a dynamic job decorating the whole school for the theme of whatever the book fair is. And then we have events happening, usually the Friday night of book fair week, where they come in and we have just a school-wide fun night for everybody to participate in literacy activities. This was a program that we added into our STEAM Academy 3 years ago. We hired a science teacher, 6th grade science teacher, that was really into dinosaurs. And he does digs all across the world. And he asked me, could he add a paleontology class to our STEAM Academy? So we said, okay, we'll give it a shot. We tried it the first year, and it was a huge hit. Kids really loved it. He takes them out to different museums when they do shows on dinosaurs and fossils. He also takes them twice a year out to Peace River. They just did it just this last Friday and coming this Friday? Last Friday and this Friday, right? Where he takes groups out there with their parents and they get in the Peace River and they actually dig for the fossils and they actually get to bring those home. And they find shark's tooths, they find shells of turtles, they find a lot of different fossils that they get to keep. And they really love that one. That's one of the programs. This year we actually added a intro to zoology class. I hired a science teacher this year that is zoologist by profession, and she's added that course for students to really give them a lot of introductory information to the animal world. So we're constantly changing and adding to that program as we get teachers that come into the school. If they can add something that will really benefit that program and help our students learn about new things, then we're really open to changing courses and put it in for 9 weeks and see how it does, see how the students like it. We want to expose them to as much of that as we possibly can. This is the botany class in our botany garden. We took an area in the back of our school that had like a fenced-in area across the back, and we turned it into a botany garden. We partnered with Home Depot, and we got planter beds and the fake grass turf back there, and they donate not only the pots and the soil, they donate seeds, and our students started it, and they've cultivated it each year, where they grow the plants now, and they take the seeds off the plants themselves. They take them into the classroom, and they grow them in these little tiny seed pots, and they're cultivating them and growing them in the class, and then they bring them out and plant them into the garden. I think right now we have in there tomatoes and bell peppers. We have strawberries back there, and we have a whole section that's herbs. So they have rosemary and basil, dill back there, and the kids really enjoy it, and they grow it, and then they get to take the items home just to show their parents what they're doing. But we're always posting videos and information for our school, for our parents to see what the students are doing back there in the botany garden. That was one of the big components when we added that actually took us into that School of Excellence level for our Green School application. Our parent-teacher committee is very involved in our school. They are involved not only in our SAC, but they also come to our Board of Director meetings, and they do reports for us every single month at the Board of Director meetings. And they get our families involved, and they recruit those parents to come and help with community events for things that we're doing within the school, and also going out into the community with our community cleanups and things that we do out there. We do not have bus transportation, so any volunteering that's done, field trips that are done, they're all parent volunteers that are taking our students. So we want to make sure parents are involved. That's a big piece, a big component of our school success, because we do really believe that students do better when parents are involved. This is a community cleanups I was referring to. We do those twice a year, and we clean the area around our school. We go over to the Village Park, to Camilla Park there. We clean the park, we clean along Southern Boulevard, just picking up trash and recyclables. We try to separate those since we are a green school. The students make sure that they're carrying different types of bags so that the recycled material we can actually turn in and have that recycled, and it's not just going in the trash with the regular things that they're picking up. They also do clothing drives where we collect any kind of textile and we donate those to a not-for-profit that then disseminates that stuff out to other areas, to shelters and places like that. Clothes, shoes, purses, belts, everything, anything like that. These are some of the other initiatives that we've done this last year. We've done for actually a couple of years the candy wrapper collection that we do at Halloween time. And we collect the wrappers off the candy, not only at our school for our Halloween night that we do, but parents bring those in from home. And then we work with Loggerhead Park and do that collection with them. And last year we actually won, I think it was second place, and we got to actually have our own sea turtle. We got to name it. The kids really thought that was a big idea, big deal, because we got to name a sea turtle. But they're saving those wrappers from ending up in the ocean or ending up in the waterways, and they're protecting the environment that way. And it's really important that they learn at a young age that they are the ones that are impacting the environment more than they realize, and they need to take every little step that they can to make sure that the waterways are clean, that the grounds are clean, just protecting the earth. We also recycle ink and toner cartridges. We've recycled pens and markers. We've recycled a lot of different things, and you can see a couple of the art projects there. The one in the middle is actually one we did. It's called Tile Art Night, and that's a fundraiser, a green fundraiser for our school. When we did our last build out in 2013, we had a lot of tiles left over from doing the bathrooms. And so we took the tiles and we turned them into a fundraiser for the school. And we sell the tiles and the parents come in, and our cafeteria we set up with paints, and the kids just get to paint whatever they want onto the tiles. Some of them they take home, some of them they leave if they want to, and we take and frame them, we seal them, and we put them in frames on wood, and we hang them up in our hallways for art throughout the halls. So that's really a nice one. We always put the year that it's on there, and we have multiple ones of those hanging in our both buildings, but that's a green fundraiser for the school. Some more of our community service projects that we do, we work with PBSO every year for not only the Food for Families drive, but also for the toy collection at Christmas holiday time. We also do a Penny Wars collection, and the students actually have like a war where they're collecting the change. And we use that money to sponsor 2 of the Shop with a Cop students every year. And then we pick 2 students from our school as well, and we pay for them to go with the Shop for Cops, and their families get Publix gift card as well as Walmart cards to buy Christmas items for their entire family. Some more of the ones that we do, I was just speaking to. You can see some of the pictures there. We do have a National Honor Society, National Junior Honor Society, excuse me. We have safety patrols. We do our after-school sports program, which is a co-ed program that our full-time PE coach does. And the students kind of get to pick what they want to do each time. He does 3 to 4 a year. Our chorus, which you heard about, and the engineering club I mentioned. And then we do club days throughout the year for students, depending. We're always asked for more and more clubs, so we do those throughout the year, and they get to kind of pick, and we get a teacher to sponsor them so that they can meet after school to have some fun. We have to do those around our after-school tutoring days and the staff meetings and all of those parent conferences and things that you do. So we fit those in as often as we can. But it has been a really good 17 years, and we are still working hard to continue providing excellent education for the students and families here in Royal Palm Beach. We have another 3 years on our current charter contract, and then we will be submitting for another 15-year charter through the School District of Palm Beach County. Any questions for me?
You sure you're only working 3 days?
Yeah.
I'm having trouble believing you.
Only working 3 days. Yes, I am. Now, it actually has been very seamless because Mrs. Manriquez and Ms. Miller both have the longevity at our school, which is something that is also really important. I have teachers that have been at my school. I have 3 teachers that have been at my school since the first year I opened. Wow. The vast majority of my teachers have been there over 10 years. That really speaks a lot to the type of culture and climate that we have as far as an employee. Yeah, well, we believe in treating them as professionals and letting them be teachers and not micromanaging them. And they're professionals and they need to be treated as such. We try to do a lot of special things for them to make them feel important and feel valued. We have a leadership team of our teachers that work with the school leadership team, and they really provide a lot of input and feedback from our teachers throughout the school on different things that we're doing, decision making and things that are coming up, so that they have that buy-in and they understand that this is their school. It's successful because of our teachers and what our teachers are doing in those classrooms every day. Any other questions? Comments? No? Okay, well, thank you, and maybe I'll see you next year.
Of course we will.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we'll have district reports.
And good evening, everyone. And
Good evening.
wow, Western Academy, Linda Terranova, you are awesome. Your team is awesome. 17 years, I just remember from the beginning and what you're doing. Such a superstar school at Western Academy. And your choir, your show choir, they just turned it out. Let's give them another hand, absolutely. And when I think about the school, I just know it's standing room only. There's a waiting list to get in. And when I look and see all the things that's going on, I just remember from the beginning. I'm just so proud of the school and the programs that you have and your continued success. I just can't believe you're there for 3 days. You know what I'm saying? You slipped that one on me now. But we just appreciate your principals and your team that make it happen, because it's about all of you. And we congratulate you for your great success. And A School, since 2006, that spells volumes. Let's give that a big hand. Well, it's kind of nice to just stand here and say that we're doing great things in the village, and you can see that just with Weston Academy. But I can tell you, I had a great time on Saturday, and I see a superstar looking right at me, Julie Highsmith and H.L. Johnson. You get it done. When I came to your festival on Saturday, and I saw what was going on with the parents from H.L. Johnson, for the children of H.L. Johnson, and the principal who does such a great job. I see you as a green school. You're making it happen. And when I saw all of the things that went on at the festival, I call it a STEM festival, because there was so much learning going on. I saw the animals. I just was really amazed to see all the kids who were so excited to see the animals, and they were just excited to see the children. What a wonderful thing. And then I saw the science activities. I saw the green garden, where I was looking at some beans that were really green beans, but they were really red on the outside. So I went home and asked my husband, do you know about the green beans that are red on the outside? He said, yes. So I just want to thank Ms. Highsmith for your outstanding work at H.L. Johnson. It was exciting. And yes, Mr. Hamera, Commissioner, you were right there with us. And when I was in there for the raffle, oh my goodness, I've never seen a raffle like the one at H.L. Johnson. So you got to come next year if you didn't come, because those gifts were taller than me. And I see that I'm pretty tall, but when you kind of looked at all the gifts that were being raffled out, I says, how in the world could they have done all of this? And it truly was about the students and the parents and the camaraderie with the school. And H.L. Johnson, you're awesome. So let's give them a big hand for their big activity. And as
Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that, Ms. Andrews.
Absolutely, it was wonderful.
And don't forget to say you won one of those big baskets too. You were lucky.
The first one,
The first one.
just to be clear on that.
And it was so much in there for kids, I had to leave some of it back to the school. I mean, the parents that put that together, they were so thought-provoking for those winners to see that it's truly all about the children. So I just really loved it. But I want to say that on behalf of our superintendent, Dr. Fenoy, and our strategic plan, we do want your input. I think I said that last time I was here. And as you saw the presentation today, this is just the beginning. We can go nowhere until we get your input. So we're definitely looking for your input as we move forward with our strategic plan. And for the coronavirus, as you know, that website that we have on the school district's webpage is fluid. It's changing every day. Right now, we feel that we're blessed here in Palm Beach County, but every day is a new day. So we continue, as you heard, to try to keep our children safe. Plenty of soap, plenty of washing their hands, keeping the area clean, and just really educating and training the parents and the teachers to take care of the children, because it is a time, and it's kind of a scary time, but we don't want to frighten our children. We want them to stay focused on academic achievement, but we also want to make sure that everyone's informed, so that if there are changes, we'll be definitely making contact with you as soon as possible. But we love the partnership that we have here with the village, and we have all outstanding schools. So let's give the principals in here tonight a big hand. We love you all. And lastly, I am looking at that penny sales tax money. I'm visiting every school, checking with every principal, and just making sure that they have actually seen the monies come in. Some of the money is coming. Some of it has not actually been spent yet, as you saw here, but I'm following the trail of the money to make sure every school gets everything that they were supposed to get. and hopefully a little more, H.L. Johnson. Thank you. And that's our little secret that we're working on. Thank you.
Okay, all right, reports, I don't have anything. Do any of the other members have any reports?
I would just like to mention that Royal Palm Ice Cream is holding a fundraiser this Friday for Palms West, if anybody gets a chance to go by there. From 4 to 7 this Friday, the 13th, 20% of all sales go back to the school. So I wanted to mention that for Principal Epstein. And also, if you guys see him out and about or at any of your functions, wish him congratulations. He did marry the beautiful Miss Nicole back in February, I think on the 15th. So he's not here for us to congratulate him, but if anybody runs into him, it would be probably quite embarrassing for him, but lovely to hear. So thank you.
As Ms. Andrews mentioned, we had our huge spring carnival on Saturday at H.L. Johnson. The raffle baskets, there was a cakewalk, there were some green activities because the theme was It's Easy Being Green. The garden was on display. We had a huge tent with STEAM activities. We had blow-ups. We had performances by a lot of the students, the groups that they participate in outside of school. A lot. It was a lot. It was huge. And it was all day. It was the most beautiful day. We had perfect weather. We paid extra for that. You did the Lego drive? We did a Lego drive for recycling Legos. We had popcorn, cotton candy, face painting, the petting zoo.
Over a year to plan it.
Yeah, it was. The video game truck. I mean, there was something for everyone.
Don't tank.
And we were honored that Miss Andrews took the time to come and Councilman Hamara took the time to stop by. And we had someone selling carnivorous plants.
I got one.
You did? So did I.
I'll let you know how it goes.
Mine caught 2 flies the first day, my
Okay.
Venus flytrap. So thank you guys for coming and supporting our event. I appreciate it.
And I would like to just say, Miss Andrews, I expect you to come by and use your gift card, even if you're buying Mr. Lenny some lunch. Okay.
I neglected, okay.
I want to add that I too attended the festival on Saturday, and wow, what a great job. Seriously, it's a huge undertaking to put all of that together, and so many components involved in it. All the inflatables, the performers, the food trucks, the garden, the petting zoo. I mean, something was there for everybody. So I just want to share also, very well done.
Thank you.
I neglected the principals. Please forgive me. Any principals want to have anything you want to present? Really?
Ask him twice.
Okay, student council report.
Good evening. During the last meeting, Royal Palm was in the middle of 17 acts of kindness alongside Moment of Hope and Paint RPB Purple. These many events had a great turnout with a lot of participation from our student body. And leading up to the beginning of March, Olivia Sordeley, our FASC Vice President, represented us so well at Leon High School. She strategically planned out the workshops and worked diligently to get the FASC workshop site up and running. Workshops were as smooth as ever, and RPBHS Student Council couldn't be more proud of all the work she's put into it. She truly represented our Wildcat best in Tallahassee. Alongside the workshops, we also submitted project books and a medallion book. This year, we placed 2 third-place trophies in citizenship development and school spirit. We also received another gold medallion book, and I had the pleasure to work on this book for the past 2 months, and I couldn't be more proud of it. I wouldn't have been able to do it without my fellow SGA delegates, and FASC this year was held at the oldest high school in the state of Florida, Leon High School. This historical school held an amazing convention with innovative games, amazing speakers, and they made sure we had a good time. During our 3-day trip in Tallahassee, we were given the opportunity to tour FSU and FAMU, and we got to sit in the Capitol and watch them create new bills and set new amendments. It was truly a great experience, and I'm sad it was my last one. However, just because we're past FASC doesn't mean we're done working. We have Relay for Life this Saturday, and we're currently working on a car wash fundraiser to fundraise for our annual Disney trip. Thank you.
Well, thank you, sir. You guys are working hard. Very good, very good. Okay, do we have any statements from the public? Okay, can I take a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting?
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Thalmer,
I'll second.
second by Member Highsmith. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Minutes are passed. Do we have any old business? Any new business?
Madam Chair, could I just make a quick comment? The trip to Tallahassee wasn't coincident with my trip to Tallahassee, but the results were as confusing. What I mean by that is there's so much going on up there right now. It is an interesting experience, and I'm delighted that you all were able to go. I think it's great to be exposed to it, and I'm suspecting that some of you all may come back in a different capacity someday up there, try to help us out with things. But I think generally speaking, education is looking rather positive, and the legislature is now into the really difficult, actually their primary function up there, which is putting together the budget.
Yeah.
And as they say, it's never over till it's over. And no matter how good things are looking, you never want to take your eye off the ball. But things are looking pretty good from an educational point of view this year. So it's a good thing. So again, I'm glad you were able to go up there and experience it. Relay for Life. This Saturday starts at 3 o'clock, and it's over at the fairgrounds. So if you get a chance to go over there, it's a great event. Our schools participate very enthusiastically and very effectively over there. And so I invite you all to come and walk the track with the rest of us who are going to be there. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Well, having no other business, I would like to announce that our next meeting will be Monday, May 4th. We will not be meeting in April. So please don't come here looking for us. We will not be here.
So, Madam Chair, the one thing we all would like to thank you is that it's scholarship time for us, and we've been through these applications, and I just tell you what a great job you're doing. These children are amazing. Some of the things they've done, and it's just they get better and better every year. And it's a testament to what you're doing as you bring them up through the elementary, to the middle school, to the high school level. It's just, they're doing so much. Never fear about the future, because we have a darn good future, especially here in Royal Palm Beach, because we've got some great candidates. It'll be very tough for all of us, but we just want to thank you educators for making them understand and realize and grow, like people like Jonathan and all them that are there. So just want to say thank you for that.
Okay, on that note, meeting is adjourned. All in favor? Aye.